Okay, so we haven't had anybody coming in for a little bit, so we'll just watch for any more people coming in and just get this thing started. So welcome to this online event of the L. Ron Hubbard Presents Writers of the Future, volumes 36 and 37. Now, some of you were in attendance at the event that we had the end of October, where we released volumes 36 and 37 simultaneously because we had to skip last year due to the pandemic. My name is John Goodwin. I'm the president of Galaxy Press, and I'll be your moderator and host for tonight's event. We also have two special guest speakers. We've got David Farland, the coordinating judge of Writers of the Future. You want to wave, Dave, and say hello? Good. And we have Chris Bowthorpe, who's the author of the Enfield Report in volume 37. Hello, Chris.
Hello.
So tonight you're going to see our highlights video of the 2020 and 2021 Awards Gala held at the beautiful Tagline Complex here in Hollywood, and where we released volumes 36 and 37. And we're going to follow up with a Q&A for 30 minutes with Dave and with Chris. And we'll start off by just letting Dave say a few words of hello before we get started with the video.
Okay, well, hi, it's great to have everybody. And thank you all for coming.
Great. And Christopher.
Yeah, great to see everyone. Appreciate everyone coming out to hang out with us for a little bit.
Great. Thank you both very much. And just as a reminder, we will have the link to purchase your copies of Writers of the Future volumes 37 and 36 in the chat. And I say volumes because they make amazingly great holiday gifts. So whatever your holiday you want to celebrate, all the way up through New Year's, this is a great way to start the new year. Just these make really good gifts for the holidays. So we'll keep on posting this throughout the chat as the chat continues to roll, so that you can click on and get your copies of the book. So I guess as we're ready to move forward, we will on the Q&A at the end address questions that you post into the chat. So if you we're gonna keep everybody muted, so it gives us the ability to handle more questions that way. So if you have questions for either Dave or for Chris, just put your question in the chat, and then we'll forward that to them, and so they can address that. So with that, we will get started. So here's the highlights video we have of the L. Ron Hubbard Presents Writers of the Future, volume 36 and 37 Awards Gala, the end of October.
Welcome to the 36th and 37th anniversary of the L. Ron Hubbard Presents Writers and Illustrators of the Future.
When Daedalus first stretched his makeshift wings to soar towards the heavens, humanity was able to tell a story. It was a story of striving for something new, something greater than the fulfillment of a single life. To tell a story is to embrace the spirit, the essence of the heart and soul. For eons, that tradition went uninterrupted, spoken from generation to generation, or painted on every possible surface. Then came canvas and the page, a new era of storytelling. The speed of our achievement began to match the pace of our dreams. The Industrial Revolution, which so changed the size of the world we live in, also changed the nature of the stories we tell. Daring adventurers stretched the limits of science and art, pursuing the dreams of the creative, and humanity flew. A single story could be shared with millions. Storytellers like Dickens with his Great Expectations, Verne and his 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, and Wells with his War of the Worlds paved the way for Steinbeck with his Grapes of Wrath, Mann's Royal Highness, and L. Ron Hubbard's To the Stars, to lay a literary foundation for the golden age of storytelling, a roadmap to the future. McCaffrey's Dragons of Pern, Bradbury with his Fahrenheit 451, Heinlein's Starship Troopers, Frank Herbert's Dune, and a wave of far-seeing, almost prophetic writers of the human condition created a new world for the modern novelists such as Kevin Anderson, Larry Niven, and Orson Scott Card to create in. And in turn, these storytellers have found the bright torch of creation to be one that can be passed along to the next generation of great creators. But a curious thing has happened. For a score of centuries, humanity strove to catch up to the impossible dream of Daedalus's flight, and in the last 85 years, we caught up to the future told in the stories of those who wrote such far-fetched dreams. The current judges and winners of Writers of the Future live in a world where jetpacks are real. Google is testing the self-driving car. Sony has created robots that look like humans. As the torch of imagination is shared with this newest group of writers and illustrators of the future winners, we can only imagine what wonders they will discover as we come full circle into a new golden age.
Please welcome our Mistress of Ceremonies, Executive Director of Author Services, representing the literary works of L. Ron Hubbard, Ms. Gunhild Jacobs.
Thank you very much, and good evening. What a couple of years we've been through, but tonight we are grateful that we can get together again, and this time for a double dose of magic, because we are honoring not 24, but 50 outstanding writer and illustrator winners selected by our all-star blue ribbon judges. So from all of us at Author Services and Galaxy Press, I want to welcome all of you to the 2021 celebration of science fiction and fantasy writing and art. We have 33 winners from volume 36 and 37 with us tonight. The balance of the awardees are not able to make it due to travel restrictions, or as in the case of K.D. Juliger, she just had a baby. We are also honored to hear from Tony Weisskopf, publisher of Baen Books, as our keynote speaker. This year we will release not one, but two Writers of the Future anthologies, volumes 36 and 37. While volume 36 was released online in 2020, it was never released at our own event, and the grand prize winners from that volume were never announced. So now, to release L. Ron Hubbard Presents Writers of the Future volumes 36 and 37, please welcome the President, Galaxy Press, Mr. John Goodwin.
Thank you. 2020, 2021, 2 unreal years, 2 very real books. L. Ron Hubbard Presents Writers of the Future Volume 36, and L. Ron Hubbard Presents Writers of the Future Volume 37. And here they are.
What you'll find in the Writers of the Future anthology is a sampling of some of the best and the finest new writers of our time.
And so it really does help the best rise to the top.
It's not specialized in very hard science fiction, fantasy, horror.
It's a diverse mix of imaginative stories.
You get wonderful, surprising, powerful, moving stories from writers who have acquired the finest tools that the literature of science fiction and fantasy supply.
Great stories. Just read for the great stories. And the art, it's all good.
This is the face of science fiction as it is today.
So get ready to be carried away to places no one has ever gone before. Discover the mesmerizing power of these new voices, the chosen ones, selected by today's best-selling science fiction and fantasy authors and artists. I hope you enjoy this double shot of imagination as much as we enjoyed finding the talent. And bringing their creativity to you in the form of these soon-to-be best-selling and award-winning books. Thank you.
My people, it's so great to be here. I'd like to thank the organizers of the Writer of the Future event for inviting me here to talk to you all. Is it not a lovely venue? Yeah. At workshops, I am notorious for asking writers what their theme is. So I will make it easy on you guys and give you the theme of my speech right up front. Since it is so likely that children will meet with cruel enemies, let them at least have heard of brave knights and heroic courage. Otherwise, you are making their destiny not brighter, but darker. C.S. Lewis said that, yes, yes. I'll get back to that theme in a minute. My association with the Writers of the Future goes back a long way, longer than some of this year's winners have been alive, in fact. While I was still in college a long, long time ago, I knew that I wanted to become involved in science fiction publishing as an editor. In my senior year, I would attend science fiction conventions with resume in hand. One of my good friends was AJ, Algis Budrys, the founding judge of Writers of the Future. Yeah. He and Author Services would throw parties at conventions to publicize the contest. And those parties were much more modest than this event, though still, I have to say, very classy. They always had the best canapes, and one of the reasons why is part of my earliest recollection of the Writers of the Future, chopping cheese and cutting vegetables in a hotel suite. Okay. I have come a long way in 4 decades, and so has the contest. One of the reasons I'm here speaking to you is because over the years, there have been many Writers of the Future judges, illustrators of the Future judges, and winners associated with my company, Bain Books. Some of the more than 20 judges whose work we've had the honor of publishing include the aforementioned Algis Budrys, Tim Powers, Kevin J. Anderson, Gregory Benford, Anne McCaffrey, Larry Niven, and Jerry Pornell. Many of your artist judges have graced our covers too, including Bob Eggleton and Dan Dos Santos, who is here with us tonight. And we've not only published those folks, but also a bunch of the Writers of the Future winners too, including novels by Eric Flint, who is himself now a judge for the contest, and in alphabetical order. Oh yeah, clap for Eric, yeah. Oh, yeah. In alphabetical order, Stoney Compton, Jim Glass, John Moore, Martin Shoemaker, Eric James Stone, and Brad R. Torgerson. Winner Bill Ledbetter works with us on our Jim Bain Memorial Award Short Story Contest. And winner Sean Patrick Hazlitt is editing a couple of original anthologies for us. His next one is due out next year. And let me tell you, there has never been a better time to be involved with science fiction. Science fiction won. At the box office, on TV, in popular culture of all kinds. IKEA is using robots to sell furniture. And somehow rockets sell mortgages. I don't know how. But there is an actual company called iRobot. It's not just a book title from Isaac Asimov. Our biggest billionaires are true believers. Jeff Bezos collects science fiction art and is a science fiction fan. Elon Musk is too. Even Senator Ted Cruz quotes Star Trek. But there is a downside to all of that. Back in the day, there was a sense that we, those of us who read and wrote and illustrated and published and reviewed SF and chopped cheese and threw parties, that we were all in this together. It was, to quote a fanish trope, a proud and lonely thing to be a fan. Well, we have lost the lonely, and some of us might say we are on the way to losing the proud part too. But we don't have to. We, all of us here, the bright stars of the future, together with your experienced judges and workshop coaches, we are a community. And tonight, I want to remind us of some of the things that we do right as a community, things that we can be proud of. I'm not saying that there's no room for improvement. I'm just saying that I prefer to focus on the positives, the things that bring us together, not the things that divide us. And in my 50 or so years of being part of this community, I've come to the conclusion that science fiction is a conversation. Science fiction is a literature of ideas, and ideas were made to be shared. There is room for everybody here. That's not an accident. The people who make up the community of science fiction have always been inclusive and have always been generous of spirit. One of the things we do well as a community is pay it forward. L. Ron Hubbard created Writers of the Future to pay it forward. Our culture was one of inclusion. The only criteria needed to join, enjoy science fiction. That's it. Boom, there's your secret handshake, you're in. And I have seen that personally in action for over 40 years. My point being, there is no need to be ashamed of where you come from. It's okay to be proud of the community that you belong to and that you all contribute to. So, lift each other up, share your experiences with newer writers and artists, just as the writers and illustrators of the future have helped you. Keep the chain of pay it forward going. Include everyone in your futures. Keep the conversations going. And most importantly, be proud to tell your tales of brave knights and heroic courage and show competent, good people solving problems. And if that's not how you work, show the dark side of if this goes on. Show us where we don't want to go. But mostly, lift each other's up. Let your words lift each other up. Make our futures brighter, not darker. We're going to need it.
And now, on to the awards. While all the winners get prestigious awards, only one writer and one illustrator will receive the L. Ron Hubbard Golden Pen and Golden Brass Awards, an achievement that can and does change the course of their lives.
Thank you all so much for being here. That's the first group I want to thank. And then I also want to thank all the other amazing contestants. Everyone else here has been so wonderful. It's been wonderful to spend a week with you all and enjoy that camaraderie that comes with having the same kind of mind and way of looking at things, and it's been wonderful.
Hello everyone, thank you so much for being here. I firstly just wanted to thank all of the people that write and illustrate fantastical stories. I really think they just make the world a more wonderful and hopeful place, and they've always helped and inspired me so much. And all the judges and guest speakers this week, I have so loved learning from you all, and I haven't been that excited to wake up early consecutive days in a row for a really long time. So thank you, it was amazing.
Oh, well, just want to start off by thanking all you lovely people in the audience for joining us here tonight to wish myself, my fellow illustrators, and all the amazing authors that are with us tonight to celebrate this amazing occasion. I appreciate all the knowledge you guys have given me, and yes, thank you.
Thanks to the judges for really paying it forward. You know, they're busy people. I'm honored to be on the receiving end of all they've done for us. To Heather Lawrence, who illustrated my story. Oh, yeah. I mean, it's flattering to have someone just kind of poring over your work, thinking about the best way to realize it in a new medium.
Well, ever since I was 5, I knew I wanted to be an artist. And I saw the illustrations in the books and the media around me, and I thought, the world is a better place because of this beauty that's there. and I wanted to be the person who was creating those awesome, inspiring illustrations. And that journey has led me to here. When we started this, we were the illustrators of the future, but let us now be the illustrators of the present.
So I would like to thank L. Ron Hubbard for creating this wonderful contest, everybody at Author Services and Writers of the Future for making it happen, my family and my friends and my writing groups, my team at work that's putting up with me being gone, and of course the winners here and Will for creating a beautiful piece of art for me. Thank you.
Yo, what's up, LA? I'd like to thank Barbara for writing such an amazing story. It was really fun to illustrate. Thank you, Author Services. Thank you, judges.
So I'm arriving with the full energy of everything going on, all the excitement. And I just want to say thank you so much to all of my fellow writers and illustrators who have made me feel so welcome.
So I'm going to start with the obvious thanks first, which is thank you to everybody at Galaxy Press and Author Services for organizing this whole thing. Very dope, very rad. Thank you very much. And also a shout out to L. Ron Hubbard for starting this whole thing.
It's mine. First of all, thank you everybody who came out tonight and everybody who is there at home watching. You know, we appreciate it. Thanks for the support, guys. It means a lot. And a huge thanks to Mr. Hubbard for this contest and keeping it alive. It's amazing.
So first of all, I'd love to thank L. Ron Hubbard, Author Services, and all the judges for making this event possible and for putting their faith in me as an illustrator. I'm so honored to be here with all these amazing illustrators.
I think now more than ever, the world needs stories. They need stories for their ability to help others see the world through different eyes and to explore new ideas in a way that's not threatening and might help them make realizations. And I can't think of anyone who's done more to proliferate that ability than Mr. Hubbard and his foundation. So I'm just tremendously grateful.
Well, thanks so much. This is so thrilling. I appreciate it. I'd like to open my thanks for the contest coordinators and staff at the Author Services for all their work, their hard work for both the contest and for this week. Also like to recognize my illustrator, Andre Mata, who's a Portugal resident, so he couldn't get here, but hopefully next year he'll be here.
I'm very grateful to be here this week, as for all that's been provided by the people who make Writers of the Future possible prior to this week, especially the judges. This includes encouragement for some of my 14 previous attempts in entering the contest.
Well, just like FJ, I submitted to this contest 14 times before I got in. And I finally found my way up here, but there were a few rough years there. During those times, every now and then I would get an email from Joni telling me that I had won another honorable mention or a silver honorable mention. And those just gave me that little bit of hope that I needed to keep on with my writing.
I'm so honored to be a part of this organization and this contest. I want to say a special thank you to L. Ron Hubbard for believing in the future of this genre when not too many people do. I want to say thank you to all the judges, mentors, Galaxy Press, and Author Services for giving so much of yourselves to us.
You know, this is an amazing thing, bringing all these new writers and illustrators together. And I first submitted to this contest when I was 18 years old. So here I am 19 years later. So it's a long time coming, but. This has been an unforgettable experience. Thank you to my illustrator, Rupam, for his amazing artwork. You know, when I heard that I won the contest, I smiled and I grinned really big. But when I saw Rupam's vision of my work, I cried.
I feel a little envious about the people that only submitted for 19 years. I was submitting in the 90s, so. I want to thank the judges for their guidance and generosity. Mariah for an awesome illustration. Not only captured the story, but she put herself into it, her own vision. I thought that was incredible.
I just want to thank everyone who's here today and also the people who couldn't make it, but hopefully you can make the next one. I want to thank L. Ron Hubbard, the Writers of the Future, just everyone who's made this come together. Thank you so much, Trent, for writing an amazing story. It touched my heart. I read it at least 1 million times. Like, I love it. It's so good. And I also wanted to thank just all the people who I've met here. You guys are so sweet, amazing, and thank you so much.
I'll end with a thank you to the judges. You've given me something that I didn't know that I needed so bad, which was a confidence in my work and a belief in myself. It's something intangible that I hope to keep with me for years to come. So thank you for that.
I'd also like to thank the judges, not just for the time they took to judge and their amazing, great taste, but also the time they put into the time they put in to come and give us words of advice and to give us encouragement and just be open to talk about any aspect of writing. It's been great.
And finally, I would like to thank the judges for how incredibly wise and supportive they've been of the writers over the past week, and for how much they've been willing to give to us over the course of this week. Thank you so much. For the writers who are still submitting to this contest, keep entering. You never know when you're going to win.
Like, you see, I'm from Turkey, and from a small town in Turkey to LA, I cannot express how thankful I am, how grateful I am for the judges and volunteers for their time here, and of course, Author Services for their hard work. But most importantly, I would like to say thank you to my parents. I'm very grateful for them. The parents that supported me through thick and thin, in a country that didn't care about art and dreams.
It has been such an amazing whirlwind of a week. I'm very grateful to all the support that my teachers and mentors have given me throughout the years. They encouraged me to believe that a career in art was a possibility, even when I didn't believe in myself.
I am deeply honored to be able to stand on this stage tonight. This still hasn't really hit me yet. It's kind of mind-blowing for me. I'm very grateful to be a part of this contest and to be able to meet all of these wonderful writers and illustrators as well.
Humbled to have met writers of such caliber whose stories have all impressed me so much. There are people who deserve thanks. Mr. L. Ron Hubbard, without whom this opportunity wouldn't exist. Author Services and Galaxy Press for going above and beyond to support all of us. Mr. Mesa Matak, your artwork is such that stories should be written for it rather than the other way around.
First and foremost, I would like to thank L. Ron Hubbard for creating this very inspiring contest for all those aspiring writers and illustrators to be able to expose their work and their art throughout the world.
I'm incredibly honored to have met a group of such talented artists and mentors. Having this peer group is invaluable as an artist. I feel that we hold each other accountable as we work towards our goals. I also want to thank both writers Tim and Brittany for their wonderful stories in volumes 36 and 37 that I had the honor of illustrating.
I'm here. This is so cool. This week has been amazing.
I want to thank Mr. Hubbard, of course, for founding this contest. I want to thank Galaxy Press and Author Services. They've been amazing hosts, done so much. The judges, especially Tim and Dave, who helped us navigate through the week and taught us so much.
I'm honored to be a part of this group of incredibly talented writers and illustrators, and I'm excited to see how we carry forward and shape the future of the genres that we love. And I guess I want to encourage anyone watching who wants to be a writer, who wants to do this, to submit. Use the contest as a tool, as inspiration. Let it keep you moving. Let it give you a target to keep striving for, because we need that. And that's another special thing this contest does.
I was trying to figure out what I wanted to say about this program because it's just, or this contest, because it's just so big and amazing. And I was thinking back and thinking, what was L. Ron Hubbard's point here? And the word that keeps coming up as I think about it is motivation. I wanted to motivate the writers of the future, and now the illustrators of the future, to actually become those writers, right? And I felt that all week. And actually, I felt it before this week started. I felt it before I even ever submitted one time, right? Everybody out there who's thinking about submitting to this contest, you can do it. They want you to do it. We want you to do it. We want to find those writers of the future. So thank you, everybody, and this is awesome.
Oh, this is my favorite part. Each one of our artists is gifted well beyond the norm and has worked hard to gain the prowess that you've seen here tonight. And as much as beauty is in the eye of the beholder, it is also in the eye and the heart of the artist. As for us judges, we're thankful that we get to judge anonymously, or it would simply be too personal and too impossible with such a talented group of artists. But we did manage to come up with a grand prize winner for both volumes.
The Volume 36 Illustrators of the Future Golden Brush Award, with its beautiful trophy and grand prize check of $5,000, goes to the illustrator of
Stolen Sky on Lee.
Sorry guys, I'm still shaking. Thank you so much. This is still unreal at this moment, but I cannot express how grateful I am to be a part of this amazing event. And just to thank again, I'm so happy to be able to accept this award, and to see that my parents are so proud is just, I can't even express it in words. But once again, I'd just like to thank so much all the members of Authors Services and Galaxy Press for this to even be possible. Is an incredible journey that I will never forget. Thank you so much.
The Volume 37 Illustrators of the Future Golden Brush Award, with its beautiful trophy and grand prize check of $5,000, goes to the winner of the illustrator of How to Steal the Plot Armor, Dan Watson.
Hi everyone, thank you. I'd like to thank L. Ron Hubbard and Galaxy Press for creating and organising this event. I'd like to thank my mum and my dad who always supported and encouraged me over the years. Thank you to all my mentors who've helped me so much along the way, including Dan Dos Santos, who, with my friend and fellow illustrator Ben Hill, convinced me to sign up to this in the first place. Thank you to all my friends all over the world. And I love the fantasy and sci-fi community, the art, the writing, the people, but I'm sorry I can't be there in person this year, but thank you.
Anticipation lies thick in this room. I feel it in you. We're all brimming with anticipation to see which of these fine new writers will win the Golden Pen Awards for volumes 36 and 37.
Okay, the volume 36 Writers of the Future Golden Pen Award and grand prize check for $5,000 goes to the author of The Trade by C. Winspear.
G'day from Australia, from across the Pacific. The Golden Pen Award! Crazy! Whoa. It's probably good this is recorded because I am going to be an incomprehensible mess right now. I will be running around my little room, so excited. I'll be pulling out my novel from the trunk and I'll be giving it a good quick clean before I email it. All of you, you're all going to get one. I'm just going to be incomprehensible. So thank you 1,000 times. And this is not just an encouragement for me personally. This is, of course, an encouragement for my fellow writers here in Australia and across the world. We're a little bit further from the buzz of sci-fi and fantasy, which tends to be New York and I guess US focused. So thank you. This is huge encouragement, and I'm sure my fellow Sydney writers like Harry Goddard and Zoe Knowles and Layla Norsheen, who gave me some great advice on this story, so big thanks to her. I'm sure they're going to be winning their own awards soon enough. And of course I have to thank my parents. And I want to actually congratulate two of the other authors who are in the anthology this year, a great company, and I look forward to defining the future of sci-fi and fantasy with you guys. So yes, there's nothing like this competition. There's nothing in this time where it's getting increasingly harder to get a short story or a novel published. Like just celebrates new talent the way that this contest does. So thank you 1,000 times. Thank you to Author Services and the big man L. Ron Hubbard for starting this award. I hope that some other famous authors soon start their own awards. No pressure, but it'd be great to keep fostering new talent like this, keep the conversation going, keep everything alive, and just enjoy science fiction and fantasy as much as we all enjoyed it growing up. Continue that fire. So thank you, 1,000 thank yous. I look forward to seeing you all next year or as soon as I can. Mwah!
Wow. Imagine if he'd been here. And the Volume 37 Writers of the Future Golden Pen Award and grand prize check for $5,000 goes to the writer of the story Sixes by Barbara Lund.
Okay, so I cried at Joni when she called, and apparently I'm going to cry at you all as well. Thank you. Thank you to the judges, and thank you to my family, and thank you to everyone here. I did not expect this because I'm in such a great company of amazing writers. So thank you very much.
This marks the end of the 2021 L. Ron Hubbard Achievement Awards and the beginning of a new year of creative accomplishments. As L. Ron Hubbard stated, we instinctively revere the great artist, painter, or musician, and society as a whole looks upon them as not quite ordinary beings, and they are not. They are a cut above man. He who can truly communicate to others is a higher being who builds new worlds. From all of us at Author Services and Galaxy Press, congratulations to all the winners, and thank you all for being with us tonight. Stay safe and enjoy the rest of the evening. Thank you.
I'm Tim Powers, and I've been a judge for Writers of the Future for 35 years.
Hello, my name is Bea Jackson, and I am a past winner and current judge of the Illustrators of the Future contest.
Hi, I'm S.M. Sterling, also known as Steve, and this is my first year.
Hi, I'm Jody Lynn Nye. I've been a Writers of the Future judge for the last 5 years.
I'm Dan DeSantos. I'm one of the artist judges for Writers and Illustrators of the Future.
My name is Echo Chernick, and I'm the coordinating judge for the Illustrators of the Future.
Hi, my name is Tom Wood. This is my first year judging.
Hi, this is Kevin J. Anderson, and I've been a judge of Writers of the Future for 25 years. Over that time, I have discovered so many new stories, so many new writers, and if you read the new collection, volume 37, you'll get some of the best science fiction, fantasy, and horror that's being written, and you'll find the new stars for tomorrow.
All right. Here we go now. So that was pretty amazing. Every time I watch it, I'm just totally impressed with this, with all the winners each year. And obviously the various stories are like, and the art is just really brilliant. So now, while you're clicking that link in the chat there to get your copies, I think they have a special. If you buy 25 copies, we'll make sure that the new year starts off right for you. But anyway, let's get started now. We have our Q&A now. We've got Dave and Chris, so I'm going to be asking some questions. And what you need to do is, if you have a question you want to ask them yourselves, be sure to take advantage of the chat to put your questions in there, and then we will go to them and get them in the order that they've been asked. So first of all, I'm going to ask Dave, if you can please briefly discuss your writing career and how Writers of the Future was part of your start.
Well, I heard about Writers of the Future, gosh, it's been 35 years ago. And I heard about it from a friend in a writing group, and he said, hey, there's this cool new contest. We ought to all see if we can win. And so I had been entering some other contests, and I thought, sure, I'll give it a try. And so I immediately rushed out and bought a copy of the anthology so I could find out what the other authors were doing, how good the competition would be, learn who the judges were, and all of that. And anyway, I entered the contest. I ended up winning the grand prize for the year. And that really helped launch my career. Within about a week and a half of winning Writers of the Future, I had my first 3-book contract with Bantam Books. And we had a little auction between 3 different publishers. And so, you know, it really kind of helped set the tone for my career, definitely helped me get my launch, and helped me meet a whole lot of great people between the other judges and the other winners over the years.
That's great. And so why did you become a judge besides what I think it is?
Well, I think there's a lot of reasons. You know, we live in a world where in science fiction and fantasy, all of us try to pay it forward to a certain degree. And there's that. And then it was just a huge honor to be asked. So it was one of those no-brainers where it's like, yes, of course, I'd love to be a judge. And so I chose to do that, and I've been doing it ever since.
That's great. And from your perspective, what does Writers of the Future provide for science fiction and fantasy as genre overall?
Well, you know, when Writers of the Future started, you guys don't remember this because none of you were there, but I remember Dean Wesley Smith did a little survey, and he looked at the publishers that were publishing at the time, and in the previous 5 years, none of them had published a story from a new author, from a first-time author for the major, I think 3 or 4 publishers that were out there. And, you know, this contest really gives writers a foothold, something that they can aspire to, that they can work toward winning on a quarterly basis, that they can measure themselves with by looking at how they're doing in the contest each quarter, that type of thing, and hopefully it will give them the inspiration and the tools basically to make it themselves.
That's great. And so why should, also as a judge too, with what you see being submitted, why should someone read Writers of the Future?
Well, first of all, I think there's just great stories in there. I hope so. I try to select stories that come from a lot of different genres, a lot of different styles, a lot of different types of subject matter, but all of them of the highest quality. And so I think it gives you a good sense of what is out there and what is being done. And in some cases, we get stories that are kind of mind-blowing, and those stories, you know, show us possibilities that we hadn't imagined. And so I think that that's the perfect reason to do it.
Great, thank you, Dave. Now, Chris, so just if you can please discuss briefly what winning Writers of the Future has meant for you as an author.
Oh man, you know, it's amazing. And again, I'll take every opportunity I can to thank you and everyone at Author Services for the opportunity. You know, the confidence boost. I think that everyone knows writing is a very lonely task, right? And there's that moment where you sit down at your keyboard and you just start plinking away and you're like, what am I doing here? And I think that probably descends on a lot of us sometimes. But, you know, having had that recognition and being able to go and speak with your tribe, whether it's your fellow winners or, you know, the judges and the people that come into the workshop, you realize how much you have in common with these people. And that, you know, it's a bunch of real people just like you that have their own quirks and idiosyncrasies, and that you're enough, right? That it's worth putting the time into yourself, and it's worth putting the time into your craft.
That's great. Thank you very much. So from your perspective, I mean, my obvious answer is so I could read your story, but why should somebody read Writers of the Future?
Oh man, you know, for readers, I think there's that fulfillment that you get from short fiction of being able to consume a lot of different stories, a lot of different themes, a lot of different styles very quickly, which is just awesome. I honestly didn't jump into short fiction until, you know, kind of later on in my reading development period. For writers, so many different story elements, right? Like you've got people who are just astoundingly good at dialogue, astoundingly good at setting, who can get these huge ideas and make them consumable with incredible efficiency. So there's just like, it's a master's course to see some of these writers and what they're able to accomplish with an economy of words.
That's great. Thank you very much for that. Now we've got some questions coming in, and the first 3 here for you, Chris. So like, stay with it there. So Barbara Len asks, what are you working on now?
Yeah, so I was trying to respond to chat, but I'll happily talk about this stuff. So I'm head writing. It's what we call when you're driving around listening to music, halfway zoned out, thinking about, you know, what this story is going to be. And it's basically Hunger Games in space with a little bit of Halo mixed in, if we've got any gamers in the crowd. So pretty stoked about that. Got a pretty decent outline. And then beyond that, probably looking at a sequel to a novel that I wrapped up last year. So that's urban fantasy.
Okay, great. And Rebecca Treasure asked, your story was so great. Are you a pantser or plotter? that climax and ending was so great.
Oh, thank you, Rebecca. You're way too kind. I'm a hardcore plotter because I am lazy by nature. So if I cannot like compartmentalize what I need to accomplish with each writing session, I have a really hard time getting to the keyboard and staying productive. So that's what helps me, is knowing, okay, this is what this chapter has to do. This is how I want the reader feeling about this character, or where I want their attention at the end of this little piece. So big time plotter.
Okay, great. And then another question now from Luke Wildman. This is for you, Chris. Love the silence of the lamb's inspiration in your story. Did you know from the beginning that those images would be prominent, or did it come to you in the writing?
Ah, Luke, this is good catch, sir. I definitely knew from the beginning. That was something that I heard on a podcast. When you're trying to craft a story from scratch, think about merging different genres, right? Taking horror elements and injecting them into a fantasy setting or something like that. And so I went into it with Silence of the Lambs and Hannibal Lecter being a huge character influence, and wanted to make sure we had some Easter eggs in there for people. So glad you caught them.
Okay, great. This next question is from Danuta, and this is both to Chris and David. Do you have anything you can share about submitting to Rise to the Future for people who have been writing for years, may have something out there in other genres, but are still wanting to break into SF and fantasy? So I'll let you go first, David, on that one.
Well, the big thing is that I think when you're writing the science fiction and fantasy, and you've been writing in other genres, because I came from writing literary fiction myself, I think the big thing was to remember that science fiction and fantasy are very often idea driven. There are those big science fiction ideas that we're dealing with, or in fantasy, that powerful sense of wonder. And I think that a lot of other genres don't really prepare you to write those kinds of stories. So I think you need to look at other science fiction and other fantasy pieces and find the proper kind of inspiration for what it is that you want to do, and then really concentrate on idea and the characterization, finding character voices, writing beautiful descriptions. All of those things are going to come from whatever genre that you're working in.
Right. I think one thing too, which is I've experienced just in the volumes itself of Rise of the Future, there's so many different ideas. It's so varied, because we don't have like a Rise of the Future book is this type of story. It isn't. It's all across the board: science fiction and fantasy, alternate history, dark fantasy. I'm just always amazed at the different types of stories that people come up with. And I think that's one reason too why it's so good. We can always say it's got something for everybody. And it really is. So for someone looking for how you're talking about the art to come up with that's idea driven, just check out the last several volumes of Writers of the Future. You can just see so many different ideas that have been developing, like, wow, how'd that come from? And it's not just necessarily, this is the basic trope that you follow. It's like, it's all over the place. So Chris, what about yourself in that question?
Oh, that's a tough one. I would honestly echo exactly what you said, John. Just check out, what people are doing. It's super inspirational to see how many different perspectives show up in these anthologies.
Yeah.
I do think that idea is probably the most important part of that equation, right? Of having something to say, something big that you want to express, and then finding the right moment in time or space or wherever that can express that.
Yeah. And one thing too about Rise of the Future is that it's not American centric. It's, like you saw we had Chris from Australia, so he's got his type of story. We've got UK, we've got the United States, we've got South Africa, we've got winners from all over. And we even publish in the version of English that the person submitted in. So if it's UK English, we'll publish it in UK English. We don't convert it to American English, so you can really see it. You have these different story ideas from all over the world. So it's not just stuck into this is the pot that boils in the United States. It's all over. So I think makes even more that point that these ideas are universal from from this perspective, what we do with Rise of the Future. You know, we have another question here. So does that answer your question okay, Danuta, I hope? And so Wolf Moon asks, what was the most important thought you took away from the workshop? So I guess it's going to go to you, Chris.
Oh, wow. All right. You know, I think this showed up with a lot of different people, and any of my fellow writers are welcome to chime in here if they want. Treat it like a business where you are the factory, right? When you start looking at writing, both as a business and as a personal thing, you're your raw resource, right? You have to rely on yourself to be putting out your product, and have a way to do that consistently. I think that's the biggest thing, is once you've established that you have the talent, that you're capable of putting out a quality product, then it becomes the battle of how to do it again and again and again. So that was something that really resonated with me.
Great, and that's also that essay, the manuscript factory from L. Ron Hubbard that you studied in there.
There you go. Yeah, absolutely.
That's what he says. You're a factory. Great. So now there's another question that came in for Dave. This is also from Wolf Moon. What story would you really like to see that no one has written yet?
Oh my gosh, that's an interesting question. You know, when I come to the stories each quarter, there are times when I go, I'm in the mood for a really great humor piece, and then I read the anthology or read all of the entries and go, well, okay, maybe next time. So you know, what I find is that I'm always surprised. I'm pleasantly surprised. I go, well, I didn't find that, but I got this over here, and it's so much cooler than what I imagined. And so what it comes down to is, I think every quarter, I just kind of look for the story that is cooler than what I had imagined anybody could do. And that happens every quarter, you know. I always find something where I just go, wow, this is from a beginning writer. That's amazing.
I'm always amazed when I see these stories coming out from the beginning writers. So that answer your question there, Moon? Excellent. All right, so now here was another question from Luke Wildman to Dave. Are there any big patterns you've seen in changes to submissions over the years? Anything that writers these days seem to be more interested in that was previously the case?
Yeah, there's a lot of big patterns. In current stories right now, I'm seeing a lot more stories about memory transmission, whether it be from people who are dying and they're getting downloaded into robots, or robots that are getting downloaded into people, and that kind of thing. I'm seeing a lot more of those stories. I'm also seeing a lot of stories that have to do with social media on a thematic level. The influence, the negative influence, quite frankly, of things like Facebook and Twitter and TikTok and things like that seems to be a pretty strong theme. We used to see a lot of stories that dealt with people going into space, and I'm not seeing quite as well. Not seeing very many of those lately. It's turning into different types of science fiction, but we're also seeing a real trend in fantasy, where people are writing fantasy nowadays that I think a lot of it feels like it's game inspired, where we've got characters who are gnomes or orcs or something like that, and they're traveling out west with their horses and their buggies, and they're doing these kind of bizarre mashups that are a lot of fun. The big thing that I'm seeing in Writers of the Future is that so many of them are so long that they don't fit in the anthology. So I would love to see some things like that that are well done. I did have a great finalist earlier this year that was a short piece that dealt with a Dark Lord and a dragon who were running for a public office, and a wizard who was trying to combat that and or combat the evil ones. And fantastic story. I loved it. Wish I could have had it as a winner or been able to shove it into the anthology this year.
So I have a question now, Dave. We've gone through a year and a half of a rather recent dark period with the pandemic. Has that affected at all the direction you've taken Writers of the Future, or with the direction of the stories coming to you?
Well, I am seeing more pandemic stories for one thing, but what I've been doing is I found myself, when the pandemic started, just saying I would really like to see some fun stories, and I think that I've gone for stories that have a little bit of a lighter tone or a more hopeful tone sometimes, sometimes comic, that type of thing. So I do look at that, but ultimately, I look for powerful stories too. And so trying to find that right balance of power and tone and originality and great storytelling, there's just a lot that goes into it.
I get it. Now you've been involved with, if anybody else has any more questions, please ask. I've got a whole warehouse full of questions I'm always interested in asking Dave and the winners. So I can fill up the whole rest of the time here, but we still have about another 10 minutes to go. So if you have other questions, feel free to ask. This is a golden opportunity for either Dave or for Chris. But now you've been involved, Dave, with this since having won in Volume 3, and I've been involved since Volume 2, actually, with when I first went to Bridge Publications when it was first started. And any particular change of direction you observed over the years of the contest, in terms of submissions, things coming into you, because you took over from Algis, and then Katie was in there for a little bit, Katie Wentworth, and then you've been for the majority of the time as the coordinating judge.
Yeah, we always get what should I say it? Kind of movements that are going on, things that inspire people. I had 1 year ages ago where probably back in 1994, 95, there was a TV show in Australia about the journey of a sperm as it goes to find its egg. And I got probably 30 submissions about that in 1/4 of the contest. A couple of them that were quite good. And I was like, what in the world is going on here? And it just turned out that they were inspired by that. And so when we had Cold Fusion, or when we had the sheep Dolly that got cloned, all of a sudden we got cloning stories, or we got Cold Fusion stories. I've definitely seen a lot more plague stories in the last 2 years. So I think we're always seeing those kinds of changes, but there's a general thing that's going on. We're seeing a lot of superhero stories lately too. And I think that we're seeing a lot more also of stories where we have superhero characters in sort of the mainstream world, so we're getting a lot of that type of thing. And we didn't see any of that back 20 years ago. There are certain kinds of stories that I'm seeing now that were very, very rare. I don't think I saw a superhero story for the first 4 or 5 years that I was judging. And now I'm getting, half a dozen a quarter.
Wow. Okay. One thing too that you've commented to me on separately is just the quality of stories too have increased quite a bit since we started this, the Writers of the Future online writing workshop, which is free to anybody. If you've not taken it before, I highly recommend it. But can you comment on that a bit?
Yeah. When we started that online workshop, we saw the quality of the stories dramatically improve within a matter of, it was just kind of night and day. One quarter it was this, and the next quarter it had increased. And between that and the fact that we're getting more and more submissions every quarter, and so we're getting people who are better trained, and people are getting onto the Writers of the Future forum and talking to others and learning how to write from each other. We've seen a real dramatic improvement in the quality of the stories. And I think this last quarter we had just a huge number of honorable mentions, for example, and they're just working a lot harder and they're writing better stuff nowadays.
Which is awesome. That's great that we've got that. That's the purpose of the contest. Well, I've seen just in the last couple of weeks, there have been 2 press releases now of writers promoting their honorable mention certificate. You know, it's great. I mean, it's that kind of thing where people, when they get honorable mention, quite frequently now their work comes out of slush piles from editors just because of the recognition of the contest, because of being anonymous judging. That it's, if you get that, that means you've got something going for you. So here's a question from Mike Jacks Stambos, probably more for me, but with a massive increase in audiobooks and podcasts, do you see the possibility of adding a reader of the future for audio narrators in the future? And I can give you a resounding no. It's a lot of work to do this, writers and then the illustrators of the future. Those are 2 massive contests. I mean, there's thousands of entries that are gone through each quarter. And just to make that happen, all the judges, when they get into the finals of the quarter and then the yearly to get everybody judging, it's a lot of work, and then to bring everybody out, it's pretty massive. And besides, the Rise of the Future podcast would be the winner anyway. So in my humble opinion, if you've not listened to it, I highly recommend it. We've got some amazing talent. A.G. Riddle's interview is going up this week, but I've had a lot of great authors, winners. I've had the publisher of Bane Blitz, obviously we've had her on. I had the publisher of Tor on there. I'm about ready to get the, speaking of audiobooks, I've got the publisher of Steve Smith, who's the publisher of Oasis Audio, will be coming on pretty soon. I'll have him on as a guest. I've had the head of the Audio Publishers Association, the editor. I've had various magazine editors. So it's a great place to go to just learn about the industry and the adjunct industries connected with publishing and illustration. So anyway, there you go, Mike. So I recommend you listen to that. And if you got something that you'd like to originate, you can also just write to me directly on that. Crystal Beckler, how important is plot structure and the Trifail cycle? Dave, you're on.
You know, it's really funny because I teach that stuff in my writing workshops. And I think that most of the winning stories probably have that in there. However, a short story is a different kind of a beast. And there's a certain part of me that says it's not important at all in a short story, because most short stories aren't going to go through a three Trifail cycle structure. And so sometimes you'll have a really great story where a person just decides to make a change in their life, or they make an astonishing discovery that's going to affect their life for all time. And that can work just fine for a short story. So I don't pay a whole lot of attention to it with stories and writers of the future. I pick the very best stories I can get, and then I send them on to the other judges and let them decide who's going to win.
Tag, you're it. Okay, good. And then this is from Danuta, another question. Are the newer stories better crafted in the past? If so, what do you see as the most notable improvement?
I'm seeing a big improvement in the voices of the authors. More interesting voices and more interesting characters. That seems to be something that I've just really has popped out at me in the last year and a half or so. And I also think that they're probably working a little bit harder on structure too. All of our winners have been good at structure, but I'm also seeing authors who are pulling a lot of different kinds of elements into their story, so that there's a bit more depth and meaning to them in the last 3-4 years in particular.
Okay, great. And this is Marion Stenigal, and Lazarus did one initial answer to the question, but I will just Would an individual need a writing degree or an illustrator degree to participate? The answer is definitely no, you don't need that. And as you observed in what we had in the video, some people have been entering since the 90s, so it's not necessarily a real fast, I'm gonna submit and win. Some people work hard at this thing. The one datum I think you're gonna get from all the different judges, and definitely was being promoted by Mr. Hubbard, is that a writer writes, and the way you can become a good writer is by writing, not necessarily going to school. The online workshop that we have gives a lot of good advice from both Dave here, as well as from Tim Powers and Orson Scott Card in the essays from Mr. Hubbard. But people start writing and they write stories, they submit stories, and they get better and better, and eventually you go to an honorable mention, then you get better and become a silver honorable mention, then you become a finalist, and then you'll make it as a winner, or you pro out and you do like half our judges, like a lot of our judges used to enter the Rise of the Future contest as a pup, but then they went on themselves to get a professional career, and so missed being a winner. But Kevin Anderson, when he became a judge, he had entered the contest almost 20 times, never won, but he pro'd out. Doug Beeson pro'd out. Let's see.
Brandon Sanderson.
Brandon Sanderson, yeah, pro'd out. We also had Robert Sawyer pro'd out. Yeah, so we've had several people pro'd out, and then obviously we had several people that won too, like Nina Kriki Hoffman, Brian Herbert. Brian didn't.
I don't think
he never won.
Yeah.
No, he didn't win. He just Eric Flint won the contest. You won. Sean Williams won. Dean Wesley Smith is a public winner.
But Chris Rush didn't win.
She didn't win, but she was published in the first volume.
Oh, what? Oh, that's right. She was.
And Nadia Korafor was published in volume 19, I think it was. So it's just a matter of continuing to submit and do that. So let's see. So there's that. Now I have a question. If you have more questions, please do. We have a few more minutes left here, but I also wanted to invite Wolf Moon in to say a few words. He runs the forum, and it's an award-winning forum. He's done a brilliant job as the moderator. So Moon, would you care to say a few words?
Sure. What's cool about the Writers of Future Forum is everybody there loves the contest, is trying to figure out how to win it. So it's a group of people all working together, sharing knowledge. And because of that shared knowledge, last year, I think we had 4 winners from the Writers of the Future Forum. This year, we had 5 from the Writers of the Future Forum. These are records. And it's because people are sharing knowledge and working together, critiquing one another's stories and leveling up by helping one another level up with the combined might of the minds there. So it's the place to be if you want to win the contest. No other writing group has so many winners each year than out of the Writers of the Future Forum.
Awesome. And I really want to thank you publicly here, Wolf, because it's amazing what you do to moderate this.
Thank you.
All right. So that pretty much wraps us up. The Rise of the Future is available. This is at Barnes & Noble, is the link you've been getting throughout this whole event here. And I just really want to thank you all for joining us. Continue, if you're submitting the contest, continue to submit. Share the good news about this book. If you read it and really like it, please post a review and share it either on Amazon or wherever you've gotten your book that you can do that. We want to support these writers, and we had so many careers start because of this contest, and we want to continue that. So again, I want to thank you all for joining us here. Do visit riseoffuture.com so you can check out the podcasts. It's an award-winning podcast. We've got the forum, an award-winning forum. We've got the blog, which has amazing articles. And of course, the Rise of the Future series, which each year we have, they win usually at least 2, if not 3 or 4 book awards. So thank you very much. Have a great rest of the holiday season, and enjoy science fiction. Keep it going. We'll open it up so everybody can say hello to anybody else right now if you want to, before we wrap it up here. I want to be able to say hello to ZZ Top is in there. I saw him somewhere a little bit ago.
Well, thank you. Everybody have a great night.
Thank you, Dave.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Great to see everyone.
Thank you. Good to see you as well. Bye-bye, Luke.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, Moon.
I see some future winners here, or actually, and also some winners that will be at the future event. So that's cool.
Yeah.
I didn't hear who that was.
Emily, is Mike on an airplane?
Mike, are you in an airplane?
No, he's just left.
Okay.
Oh, he's still on an airplane. He's still there.
Oh, there he is. Hello, Mike.
Oh,
He's
smoke.
in a plane. He's That's awesome. That's dedication.
Live from 30,000 feet. It's Mike Stumbos.
Yeah. All right. So he just disconnected. Okay. Thank you all very much. Have a great holiday.
Thanks, John. Good to see everybody. Hi, Nicole. Take care. Good night.